It is Kieran Trippier. It is delicious! Glorious! Glorious!
Walker in there too. Luke Shaw! Harry Kane wants it played into him. He chooses Grealish instead. It's Grealish! It's Kane! Nothing like this has happened for a long time. Here's the overhead kick from Dyer. Palmer finds Watkins. Watkins turns! Watkins scores!
Hello and welcome to the Gate 102 podcast. I hope I find you well. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. It's always appreciated. Now, over the last 2 months on the podcast, I've spoken about England during the European Championships in 2021 and gone through each game as usual. And I've also done 2 bonus episodes in regards to that tournament, involving several England fans coming on. So please do check the episodes from that tournament out if you've not yet listened to those. But moving forward, we move on from the Euros and pick things back up with England's World Cup qualifying campaign as the focus turned towards booking a place at the Qatar World Cup. I mentioned briefly in the last episode that England's qualifying campaign had actually started back in March 2021. A few months before the tournament, England beat San Marino, Albania and Poland in those opening fixtures, meaning they were top of the group after 3 games. But then, of course, the campaign paused due to European Championships taking place in that summer. But after the tournament, it resumed, and England's first game back was away to Hungary. And this was always going to be a tough game. Hungary hadn't lost a game in the qualifying up to this point, and was sitting second in the group, just behind England. And on top of that, the environment in Budapest made it even more challenging. And I'll touch more on that later. But moving on to the team selection, this was England's first starting lineup since the Euros finals defeat to Italy. So Southgate went with a 4-2-3-1 formation. So it was Pickford in goal, a familiar back four of Walker, Stones, Maguire and Shaw. I should mention that this was actually John Stones' 50th senior cap, which was a special milestone, and he was obviously a really important player under Southgate. Rice and Phillips were the holding midfielders, with Mason Mount playing ahead. And Jack Grealish started on the left, Sterling on the right, and Harry Kane led the line up front. I thought the choice of wingers was particularly interesting. Obviously Sterling, who'd been so effective on the left during the Euros, started on the right, and that presumably was to allow Jack Grealish to start on the left. And that summer was when Grealish completed his £100 million move to Manchester City. There was a huge amount of attention on him at the time. And Southgate clearly wanted Grealish in the team. But in order for that to happen, it sort of meant that Sterling had to be moved across to the opposite wing, which I thought was an interesting call, but ultimately did pay off in the end. So moving on to the match itself, and to be honest, the first half was pretty quiet. There really wasn't too much to shout about, really. Both teams had a few chances here and there, but nothing particularly dangerous. England's best chance came through Harry Kane, who struck a powerful shot from outside the box that narrowly went over the bar. But that was probably England's clearest opening in the first half. I'd say we were the better side overall, but there was not a huge amount in the game, and neither team really showed the full quality. And it did feel quite cagey for large spells. So that was the first half, but in the second half, everything changed, and that's because the floodgates opened, really. England went on to score 4 goals in the second 45 and completely took control of the match. The opener came around 10 minutes after the restart, and it's Raheem Sterling once again continuing his brilliant form for his country. At that point, it made it 16 goals in 24 games for his country, which was an incredible return. And the build-up play was excellent. There was some really nice link-up between England's attackers, so it's such a well-worked goal. And yeah, just great for Sterling to continue where he left off, really. 8 minutes later, England doubled their lead, and Sterling again played a key role, delivering a cross that took a slight deflection and fell kindly for Harry Kane, who nodded it past the goalkeeper to make it 2-0. And it was good to see Kane get on the score sheet, especially as he wasn't in great form for Spurs at the time. And he was going through a pretty unusual dry spell in front of goal by his standards. But to be honest, Kane could have had a hat-trick in this game. He only ended up with one goal. But from his standards, he really should have scored a few more. But he'll be happy to get that goal. And yeah, at 2-0, England were well in control. And not long after that, 2 became 3. And this time it was the other Harry getting on the score sheet, as Harry Maguire powered home a header from a corner. As good as the header was, the goalkeeper should have done better. It wasn't his best moment for the Hungarian goalkeeper. But from England's point of view, it made it 3-0. Lovely header from Maguire. And at that stage, you're thinking, yeah, the game's effectively over now. But England were not finished. To really put the icing on the cake, they grabbed a 4th goal late on, and it came from Declan Rice. Now, he picked up the ball in midfield and fired a low, powerful shot into the corner. Again, the goalkeeper probably should have done better, but it was still a great moment for Rice. But what made it even better was John Henderson was stripped and ready to come on to replace him. And Rice basically scored with what was effectively his last kick of the game before being subbed off. So, yeah, the timing of that goal was amazing from his point of view. And the 4th goal really capped off what had been an outstanding second-half performance from England. And it was a memorable night in Budapest, and it was business as usual, really, because England continued playing just like they did in that tournament that same summer. So it was great to see. But one thing that was not so great to see in this game was the atmosphere that England had to play in the hostile environment. I mean, when Southgate was in charge, we played in a number of hostile environments. Obviously, Bulgaria being the obvious one. Montenegro away was another one, but this game was also up there as one of the worst. Due to restrictions, very few England fans travelled, meaning Hungarian fans completely dominated the noise and the feeling inside the ground. And from the very start, it felt uncomfortable. A lot of booing and jeering towards certain England players. It was intimidating to watch, to be honest. I can't imagine what it was like to play in. It was just this constant, aggressive and relentless noise from the home fans. And there was also incidents during the match that underlined just how toxic the environment had become. Objects were thrown from the stands at certain moments. There was long stoppages while stewards had to deal with issues in the crowd, along with the unfortunate racial abuse that was also present in this game. And it was obviously sad to see. But what did impress me was how England handled it. You know, they stayed calm, they stuck to the plan, and almost like let the football do the talking. I remember when Sterling scored the opening goal, the England team basically created a wall around him to stop the bottles being thrown at him. And I thought that was just excellent. And it just showed how close and together this team was. And it always makes me laugh when I think it was Grealish and Rice, maybe Luke Shaw as well, started to pretend to drink the beer from the cups that were thrown on the pitch, which was quite amusing. Yeah, that was funny. I can't remember what goal it was, but yeah, definitely Grealish and Rice, I'm pretty sure, started to drink the beer, or pretend to, that they'd thrown, which was funny. But I mean, winning away from home against arguably the second best team in the group was one thing, but winning 4-0 in that environment with no real away support and under that level of pressure, it says a lot about the maturity of that England team. And again, credit to Southgate, as he would have known and expected the circumstances. So he would have no doubt helped prepare the team for the game. And also, again, it just showcases why he's such a great leader, that you could just tell that he prepared the players to play in that environment, which I thought was great. But overall, it was an emphatic second half, making it 4 wins from 4 in the qualifying campaign. And England were leading the group by 5 points, which was a great position to be in. And my next game was England were back at Wembley against Andorra. And this was another World Cup qualifier, just continuing that campaign. So that's what's coming your way next week. So thank you for listening to today's episode. It's always appreciated. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.